I'm with Craig Mckesson, Executive Vice President of Commercial Markets and Solutions with T5 Data Centers. Next. Very good. Well, Craig, thank you very much for joining us here at Data Center Hawk. Very excited to sit down with you and get to talk about, some of the things I think in our everyday life we're talking about. But, we have people that are watching that are, data center users, other data center operators, investors in the space, and even those that serve the data center industry. So it's a wide group of folks that watch our content. But tell us about, and we were just talking about, but talk about how you got into the data center industry. I always think people's perspectives in our space, some people get through real estate, some people come through the technology side, but we all find ourselves in this evolving industry. But talk about your background and how you got to be where you are at T5.
Well, first off, it's a pleasure to be here. Really enjoy your vlogs, and it's an honor to be part of it. But kind of going back, my background's a little unique for the real estate business. Yeah. So I was an officer in the Air Force, worked on the Delta rocket and the GPS satellite program. And when I got out, actually had another colleague in the Air Force that had joined LaSalle Partners at the time. Uh-huh. And basically said, you should think about real estate. It's not rocket science. Yeah. And
you actually did that.
And interestingly enough, the gentleman who was interviewing me said, real estate isn't rocket science. I said, well, that's okay, because I used to work as one.
Sure. And
he hired me, and he basically said that that was what got me the job.
Yeah. Normally, if somebody says that to you in an interview that they've done rocket science, you hire that guy.
But it was good, right? It's a dynamic business. Yeah. Started on the landlord side of the business, and then transitioned over to the tenant side. Yeah. Where, as you know, you really need to have a niche within commercial real estate.
Yeah.
And so we found that niche. I was one of the members of the Staubach Company's Contact and Data Center Practice Group, right, where we really helped large enterprise companies with their site selection decision as it related to contact centers, customer call centers, which eventually evolved into data centers.
Yeah.
And so as technology continued to evolve, it really became a natural progression, right, to move from the tenant advisory services into more of a development role.
Yeah, which I think is interesting. As I was thinking about, T5's background, the way, the leaders of the company really came from working with end users themselves. So it's pretty unique in that, those that on the development side that are now working through the ebbs and flows of the development cycles are, designing data center, facilities for those that they used to do business with. So talk about how, their feedback, your experience with that, and not just you, but, the team's experience has helped you all shape kind of the business, T5's business as a whole.
Oh, David, I mean, it really is the foundation of our business, right? Yeah. We like to think we're in the data center business, but sure. I like to think we're in the business enablement business, right? We enable our businesses to, basically run their IT infrastructure, which ultimately allows them to serve their customers. So we spent many, many years dealing with the needs of the enterprise user, what matters most to them. And so we've been able to take all of that feedback and really incorporate it into not just the design of our data centers, but also our operational philosophy. Yeah. Right. I mean, we build and operate data centers really up to the standard or above the standard of what most owner operators do. Right. And so that's really how we've been able to build our business and earn the trust of some really great customers.
Yeah. So one trend that I think we've all seen in the industry over the last several years, when data centers, let's say 4 to 5 years ago, there's a tier 1 through tier 4 standard. And, for a while, the momentum was moving towards tier 4 and almost over redundancies in certain areas. Yeah, and it's very expensive. And I think what companies realized, especially companies that built, owned, and operated their own data centers, is they would build a facility and then realize, wait a minute, I think we might have built this too robust for what we've needed. So what are your thoughts on the way that that's flowed, kind of coming less redundant now for users in the market? How do you see that today?
I think it's a combination of the workloads and the application stacks, right? Okay. And so what we're seeing now is enterprises really evolving toward a resiliency through redundancy strategy. So as the level of build and the quality of the co-location operators has increased, enterprises have gained more trust in us, right? Right, and so as opposed to having to design a 2N+1 tier 4 system, right? They're saying, well, you know what, we're going to have multiple data centers in multiple locations, right? All kind of working as a system together, right? That in conjunction with the evolution of the cloud, infrastructure as a service, software as a service, and so it's all a big puzzle, right? Of how they, again, going back to that business enablement, right? We're one piece of that, right? And so, that said, we do a lot of work with financial services and government, transportation, high compliance, highly regulated industries. They still, because of the criticality of their operations and their data, really still kind of lean toward the more robust, I'll call it,
you bet.
Topologies. That said, now we're also seeing some very end utility systems, things like that too, where people are just they need power and cooling.
Yeah, I think it'd be I'm certainly not suggesting that companies. There are certain companies that, or the market just cares less about their IT infrastructure, or it can be less redundant. It's not a big deal. There are
not at all. I think it's really a matter of matching the resiliency to the workload need, right? And our customers are much more savvy about that now, right? They understand what they need, and they're not overbuilding, right? Because at a certain point, it's all they're making an investment decision, right? It may not be a capital decision; it maybe is more of an operating decision, operating cost decision. But it's still all about cost, right? It's a competitive marketplace, not just for us as colo providers, but in their climate as well. I mean, they have to really be conscious of what their overall costs are.
Yeah. So one advantage of having a portfolio of data centers in multiple markets. I mean, you guys are spread out through the U.S. You just announced a big international expansion in Ireland. You get to see different users. You have big users, you have small users. So when you think about industry verticals, cloud, financial, technology, professional services, where have you seen the ebb and flow of the growth that's taken place in the last 12 to 24 months with those industry verticals?
Well, those are our customers, and you really have seen an evolution, especially domestically, of kind of a diamond pattern, right? You started to see real clusters of data centers, in kind of the Ashburn corridor to the east, right? Call it Santa Clara, Hillsboro, Oregon to the west, and then a central U.S. strategy between Chicago and Dallas. And it really kind of has become that diamond pattern for most enterprise, right? Except for kind of the one-offs that'll happen. And as a result, we've tried to really make a conscious effort of growing our portfolio to match up with those requirements. You mentioned Ireland. I mean, that's obviously kind of that natural offshoot, right? You look at Brexit, things that are happening there. Ireland is really becoming Ireland is really becoming the recipient of a lot of that demand that used to be in London, right? And so it's a great opportunity for us. We've got customers that are asking us to go there, right? And so they ask, we listen.
Yeah, sure.
That's how it works.
That's a great business principle right there. One of the things too, I think that's really interesting with a company like you all's that is, it's not a publicly traded company, but it's obviously large and growing, is your ability to stay nimble, but also grow to be able to handle the business of large organizations throughout the world. Talk about the challenge with that, because you've added the T5 facility management group that's doing it's managing other data centers across the U.S. So your company's getting bigger, but you're still working on listening to customers, very important, and being able to be flexible to their growth. How do you do that well?
Well, I mean, again, you have to remember your roots, right? And it all starts with listening to the customers, right? You mentioned our operations and our T5 FM group, right? I mean, the genesis of that growth really started by our customers recognizing our commitment to customer service and operational excellence, and they said, "Hey, can you do that for us?" Right? So we then again. Listen, act, took that as a cue to start doing third-party, data center operations business, right? Which has really allowed our company to grow outside of our own portfolio. As it relates to our own internal T5 developments, again, it starts with, being cognizant of what our customers are saying, what influencers are saying out there, right? Of again, what matters most to their needs and where should they be? What should the design look like? And that commitment to customer service is really the fabric of T5. being small and being nimble and really being, from our customer's perspective, being, kind of inside that velvet rope and one of a select few where they're getting high attention, right? Like they deserve. Kind of, again, builds up that owned data center environment, but then allows them to take advantage of our scale.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think, so that's an interesting, I want to talk about users and their change and approach to their infrastructure. If you look at the last 5 or 10 years and how you all have seen that change, I think what we've seen in the market over the last 10 years is companies, less and less of companies that want to own and operate, and more that want to, place their IT deployments with data center operators. But so talk about that, and then also just how end users' needs have changed and how that's impacted what you all do.
Yeah, that's a great question. So, T5 is about to celebrate its 10th anniversary. All right, so it's hard to believe we've been around a decade.
Yeah.
And so you think about the genesis of that in Charlotte, right? And the large footprint, large enterprise campus. Those needs have definitely changed. However, there's still that discerning user, if you will, that has specialized topology needs or still needs to control its own environment, right? So that really has evolved into more of a build-to-suit campus.
Okay, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
As opposed to a co-location campus, if you will. We still provide operations and management of all those facilities, but it's still a little bit of a different user as compared to what we're seeing in Dallas or what we're seeing in Chicago or LA, for that matter, or Atlanta.
How do you go from, building the facilities but then also maintaining the infrastructure, but then also meeting the connectivity needs of users today as that's changing, your ability to offer them, more access or access to, more fiber providers, access to cloud connectivity, access to different networking needs they might have. How do you continue to do what you're doing, but also transform the product to meet their needs today?
Yeah, again, it's, the network is the lifeblood of the data center, right? And so, we really have put a lot of time and effort into creating an ecosystem of choice for our customers. They all have different needs, right? And so, the ability to bring in and contract directly with the carrier of their choice is fundamental, right? But again, our core enterprise customer also, probably 10 out of 10 of them have some type of multi-cloud strategy as well, whether it's in an R&D format or and operational, and so we've partnered with some different SD-WAN providers as well to provide direct cloud connect capability, right? Which again provides choice, right? We want to make sure that going back to that business enablement topic, we want to make sure that whatever they're trying to do, they can do within our sites, right? In terms of connectivity, in terms of operations, in terms of growth, whatever it is, we become an extension of their team and a partner for their business.
So you came out of the military, obviously you got into the data center business, but the data center industry has traditionally been a great place for those that have been in the military and served from an engineering perspective to come and help facilities. They obviously get the confidential nature of our business. That's not a problem, but they understand obviously the engineering side. But talk about kind of your background in that, how that has helped you in our industry, and why you see the industry as a good fit for those that have served in the military and are coming out.
I think it's a tremendous. The data center industry in general is a tremendous opportunity for veterans. Our T5 FM and operations team, I think 80% of our FM staff has a military background.
Okay, cool.
We're big supporters of military hiring.
Yeah.
And that really is because of the training, right? People come out of the military with a tremendous amount of discipline, attention to detail. On the operations side, most of our military techs come from the Navy nuclear training program, right? Yeah. So they love checklists, right? So at any given time, you want to make sure that people are following directions, right? And understand how to interact, and most importantly, know what to do when they're under pressure, right? And be able to drill. And so we haven't had a downtime event in our entire history,
Sure.
right? And we really attribute that to the fact of the quality of the training and the quality of the people that we have. And a big testament of that is the hiring of the veterans.
Yeah. So when you think about the industry, I mean, I always think it's really interesting. I got into the business back in '07 on accident, and I think about how much it's changed since then.
Yep.
But then if you even take those timelines and gosh, just 5 years ago, how different it was, and 3 years ago. So it's definitely evolving. But what gets you most excited? What gets T5 most excited about the opportunities that are here today and what's coming down the road?
I mean, it's a fantastic business, right? I mean, we love to serve the needs of our customers, and personally, I just love to learn about what is driving our customers' business needs, right? What are they doing? How are we going to make sure we can enable that next generation of technology, which is going to make all of our lives easier, better, more efficient, whatever that is, right? And we're a big, big part of that, right? And so it's just fascinating to me to see how quickly our business is evolving, right? And how the business needs of our customers is changing, right? And I mean, with that though brings the challenge, right? So, it's important for us to be, maintain that small, nimble character of, T5, but then also continue to grow and have the scale to serve their needs, right? So it's a little dichotomous. We need to figure out how to balance that.
Yeah, well, I think the data center operator community, from my perspective, has done well at listening and adapting. And I think there's obviously you continue to grow and get better at that, but that's definitely enabled growth in the colocation sector, both wholesale and retail. And it's created a level of maturity that the market has embraced and, has grown with. And you certainly think that will continue. At what level, it remains to be seen. But it definitely, the market feels really good for growth to continue to take place, not just from the maturity from the operator side, but the business demand and the ways that companies, big and small, I mean, large corporations and startups are utilizing technology, and it's contingent upon their success that they utilize that technology.
Well, I mean, businesses are being born in the cloud, right? You hear that all the time, born in the cloud, right? And then, many of them evolve into having their own on-prem or some type of hybrid environment, right? Technology is the lifeblood of business innovation, right? And that's not going to stop. Nor is the requirement to basically, data lives forever now, right? Right. And so that's not going to change, right? You just think about your own personal, right? I always like to personalize things and think about, what happens to all the photos I take, right? What happens to, when's the last time you actually deleted an email, right? That kind of thing. And where does all that go, right? That all continues to feed the cycle, right? Of just on a very individual level of our business.
Yeah, you bet. Well, thank you for taking the time to connect, and this is awesome. I love getting to hear perspectives from other people in the market with long history. So certainly appreciate it, and excited about T5 in the future. I know if people want to find out more about T5, where can they do that?
You can go to our website at www.t5datacenters.com.
Okay.
Or you can give any one of us a call.
Okay, and then they also do a lot of virtual tours of their spaces, so you can get on there and see their LA facility, their Dallas facility, their Chicago facility. So if that's of interest to you, you can check that out as well. You can learn more about Data Center Hawk at our site, datacenterhawk.com. Craig, again, thanks.
Thanks, David. Appreciate it.